So, let me zoom this in. And I'm sorry about the way these copied, guys. The copy machine has been messed up. So if we need to rewrite these, we can. All right, so here we go. There were 3 trig functions that you learned in geometry. Does anybody remember the little sing-song saying little thing that y'all did? SOHCAHTOA, very good. And that means that sine, that's what the S stands for. So sine is whatever what? There you go. That's what sine is. And the next one, C stands for cosine. There you go. Jacob, we just started. And the last one, what's the T stand for? Tangent is whatever what? There you go. Okay? Those are the 3 you learned last year. And some of you in Algebra 1. So here we go. Here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn 3 more. So you're going to learn the opposite of sine is the opposite letter. So the opposite letter from the S is what? C. So you're going to learn cosecant. Cosecant is the way we say that. And if it's the opposite, what do we do to this fraction? You just flip it. Oh gosh, I can't spell. Hypotenuse over opposite. There we go. Alright, so same thing here. If you're not writing this down, you probably should be, because this is really important. I mean, this is what we're going to do for the rest of the year. Alright, so what's the opposite letter from the C then? S. So that would be secant. Secant is the opposite of cosine. And obviously this is just the way we abbreviate it, okay? They're all spelled out right here for you. Cosecant, secant. And if it's the opposite of cosine, you just flip it. So what would be the ratio for this one? There you go. And the opposite of tangent is really easy. It's cotangent. So adjacent over hypotenuse. Very good. Over opposite, sorry, not hypotenuse. Okay, so look, I still don't expect you to remember 6 fractions. So you're still going to do it the same way. You're going to remember SOHCAHTOA so that you can write down all 3 of these. And then just know that these are opposites. And then you can just flip that fraction, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Alright, so let's go down to number 1. What's the directions on number 1 say? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
What's the directions say for number 1? Find the value of the 6 trig functions, okay? All 6 of them. So make sure you keep that handy, what we just wrote down. Alright, here we go. So you're always going off of your angle. We don't know that angle, so we're going to call it theta. Theta is like your x, okay? Alright, so here we go. From theta, what is the 5 to the theta? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse?
Opposite.
It's opposite. Very good. That's why I'm going to put an O right there. Or I can put, let's put OPP so y'all know what we're doing. Opposite. Okay, what is the 13? Now be very careful.
Adjacent.
He is the adjacent, but he is also the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. And the hypotenuse trumps everything. So this one is the hypotenuse. Okay, what would be the adjacent?
12.
What 12? That's the other triangle.
Yeah, I thought you looked at that. Would be on the other side.
What other side?
The 13.
Over here? Okay, do I know that side?
No.
So in math, if I don't know something, I put an X. Alright, so you have to find that side before you can do anything. So what was the theorem called that we used to find the missing side? The Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem was a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And c is always your hypotenuse, Hunter. Very nice job. So if c is my hypotenuse, then how much is it? 13, which means the other 2, it doesn't matter what order you put them in. So let's do x squared plus 5 squared. Alright, so what's 5 squared? 25 is 5 times 5. What's 13 squared? 169. Then how would I get x squared by itself? Like you with me?
Yes.
Minus the 25. If you don't know how to do this, your life is going to be very difficult for the rest of the year and the beginning of next year for some of you. Actually, for most of you. I think most of you are planning to go to college anyway. Yep. So, all right, what's 169 minus 25? 144, which you should know that's a special number. So how do I get rid of the square? Square root it. And so I get 12. So this side right here is 12. And that is my adjacent. If you want to put a little ABJ right there.
So that's what we're, oh wait, that's not what we're
We had to do that because now it wants us to find all 6 trig functions. So here we go. Sine of theta, because we always go off of our angle. So what was sine? What over what? Opposite is 5, and hypotenuse is 13. Perfect. And that's all you do. Now sine all the other 5. What's the next one after sine?
Cosine.
Cosine. So cosine of theta.
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
Perfect. Adjacent would be 12 over 13.
So we have, wait. We have to put that thingy there?
Yep. Theta. All right, what's the next one? Tangent of theta. So what was tangent? Perfect. So that would be 5 over 12.
Oh, is this not a soap October?
Yep, but we're building on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just learned this morning the opposite of sine was which one? If you don't remember how to say it, just tell me the letters.
CSC.
Cosecant, okay? CSC is cosecant. All right, so look, you don't have to do anything else. You know it's the opposite of sine,
13 over
so it's just 13 over 5. Just flip it. All right, what was the opposite of cosine? If you don't remember how to say it, tell me the letters. SEC is secant. So if you know it's the opposite of cosine, what would it be?
13 over 12.
13 over 12. Tyler, does that make sense to you, dear? You sure? Okay. All right, awesome. All right, I don't have enough room, so I'm going to come over here. All right, opposite of tangent was cotangent. Those are just abbreviations. That's cotangent is what that stands for. So just flip tangent. What would you get?
12 over 5.
And you're done. You found all 6 trig functions, so you are done. Are y'all okay? Okay, let's go to number 2. Okay. So, you always go off your angle. What's your angle?
It's the one in the
Oh
bottom.
my gosh, I have that stuff right in the corners. Do what?
What? You said what's the angle?
Yeah, what's your angle?
Stop the square.
What's that called? Theta.
Theta.
So that's theta. So from theta, 16 is which side? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. Very good. So if you need to, you can write a little O or OPP, or you can write the whole word opposite. I don't care. All right. So what would 12 be to theta? Adjacent. Very nice. And what is this missing side right here? That is the hypotenuse, which we don't know. So yes, indeed, we will label it X. Very nice. All right. So you have to find that missing side first. Okay. So how do I find that missing side? Pythagorean theorem, which was a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is your hypotenuse. So c is my x squared. So let's see, let's do 12 squared plus 16 squared. Let me show you something on your calculator. You ready? You can type it all straight in. 12 squared plus 16 squared, and it'll give you straight to your answer. What'd you get?
You can only do that one for if the hypotenuse is the x.
You can do it both ways, but I just haven't showed you how to do it yet.
400.
How much did you get? 400. Very good. Or if you don't like that way, you can do 144 plus 196, and you will still get 400. All right, how do I get rid of the square with the x? Square root it. Very good. And so x equals 20. Very nice. Okay, so now we can find all 6 trig functions. You think you got it?
Pretty fast.
Well, it's a review from algebra and geometry. It's nothing new. All right, see if you can find all 6 trig functions. All right, guys, what'd y'all get for sine?
4, 4,
Very good. You got 16 over 20, and that reduces by 4 to be 4 over 5. Very good job. All right, what about cosine?
12 over 20 and 3 5.
Very good. Those both reduce by 3 again, so that'd be by 4 again. All right, what about tangent?
16 over 12 and 12 3.
Very good job. All right, so once you reduce them, then you can just go ahead and find the opposite. What's the opposite of sine?
C.
How do you say it? Come on. Cosecant. Very good. You got to know those words. Bless you. So if it's the opposite, you just flip it. What'd you get?
5 over 4.
Perfect. All right, what's the opposite of cosine? How do you say it? Secant. Very good.
Is it 5 over 3?
It is 5 over 3. Perfect. And what's the opposite of tangent? Cotangent. It's just a CO in front of it. Cotangent.
It'd be 3 over 4.
It'd be 3 over 4. Perfect. Okay, so let's look at number 3. All right, same thing. You always go off of theta. Always go off your angle. So from your angle, from theta, what is 8? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. What is 17?
Hypotenuse.
Yep. Sorry. That was my bad.
And then it'd be X and then it'd be adjacent.
And that's your adjacent. Very good. Okay, so let's do this one together because this one's going to be a little different. All right, so I would do 17 is my hypotenuse squared, and then you do x squared plus 8 squared. All right, Blake, here we go. You ready? How would you move that 8 squared to the other side?
Subtract.
All right, so watch this. If you can see that in your head, you can do that in your head. You're going to subtract it underneath here, right? So it would be 17 squared subtract 8 squared, and your calculator will do it all for you. Okay. All right, so let's see. That would be 64 equals 289, and then subtract 64, and x squared equals 225. Y'all okay so far?
How did you?
Yeah, how did you
Subtract it and then
I was just doing that for.
Yeah, she was just saying that's the way that you can do it if you do it in your calculator.
Yes, not all of us are ready to do all that. So if you still need to write steps out, you're not ready for all that. So if you do it this way. Are you okay with what I did here, though? Okay. All right. So now you square root it. And what's the square root of 225? 15. Maybe this one wasn't different. Maybe I was being nice to you on this one. Okay. See if you can find all your trig functions. All right, what'd you get for sine? Looks like most of you aren't finished.
8 over 17.
Perfect. What'd you get for cosine?
15 over 17.
Perfect. Tangent.
8 over 15.
Awesome. All right, what's the opposite of sine? How do we say it? How do we say it? Cosecant. And it was 17 over 8. Very good. All right, what's the opposite of cosine? Secant. And how much is that?
17 over 15.
Perfect. And what's the opposite of tangent? Cotangent.
15 over 8.
15 over 8. Awesome, awesome. Y'all okay?
Why do you put that little?
Because it tells you which angle you're going off of, because in a minute when we have actual numbers there, because see, if this theta was over here, then this would no longer be the opposite. This one will be the opposite. So you've got to tell me which angle you went off of, because that determines which one's your opposite and which one's your adjacent. Okay? All right, let's go to the back real quick. Pretty easy, right? just a review from geometry and then adding those 3 on. Y'all okay so far? Okay, because we're going to build every single day, guys. Like seniors until you leave and juniors until you leave. We're going to build every day. So if you don't understand it, you got to let me know. Alright. So what's different about this stuff on the back? I know it's kind of hard to see. I'm sorry. Well, they were all fractions on the other page. Fractions and square roots. Oh, no, these right here. These problems. What, Abby? Okay, so they already give you the trig function, right? So what's the picture that you're missing? The triangle, right, Blake?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of triangle should we draw? A right triangle, because you have to have a right triangle in order to do this stuff, right, Tyler? Okay. Alright, so look at the very top of the directions, put that phone up. What's it say? It says, in a right triangle, angle A and angle B are acute. So that means that angle A and angle B are not the right angles, correct? So does it matter which one I label A and B? No. So what would that make this one right here? C. Very good. That means C is your right angle. You okay with that, Tyler? You have to know how to do this, so pay attention. Alright, so it tells me right here, tangent of which one. So Tyler, this is why I told you had to put that. Which one is it going off of? So that's where my theta goes, right there. Alright, what do we know tangent is? Because it told me tangent was 7 over 12. What is tangent? Opposite over adjacent. So the opposite from theta, the opposite side, is right here between C and B. So how much does he get? 7. Perfect. Alright, where's the adjacent side? On the left or on the right? It's on the left. Very good. So on the left right here is the adjacent, and it gets how much? 12. And we don't know our hypotenuse, so what do we have to do? We put an x, and how do we solve for x? Pythagorean theorem. Very good. So 12 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared. You can just go ahead and plug it straight in. 12 squared plus 7 squared. How much did you get? 193. Square root it. What do you know about 193? It's not a perfect square, right? Okay, is there a perfect square that divides into it? We did a bell ringer for like 2 months on these, breaking these up. Is there a perfect square that divides into it? So what were our perfect squares? What was one of our perfect squares? Well, besides 1. 4. Does it divide by 4? No. What was another one? No. 9. 9 doesn't go. What's another one? 16. 16 doesn't go. What's another one? Yeah, I know 25 doesn't go. What's another one? 36. Okay, so we're going to assume that nothing goes. So our answer is the square root of 193. Okay, what does it ask us to find? The cosine of A. Alright, so cosine. What angle are we going off of? Which one's it tell us to go off of? A. So right here, cosine was whatever what? Adjacent over hypotenuse, and the adjacent is how much? 12 over, the hypotenuse is? Square root of 193. And you cannot leave it like that. What is wrong? What can you not have? You can't have a square root on the bottom of the denominator. There you go. So how do I fix it? Remember? It's not a pain. You got to know how to do this, because we're going to do it like every day just about. I multiply Very good. And if I do it to the top, you got to do it to the bottom. That's what we just finished taking a test on, right? Do it to the top, do it to the bottom. All right, can you multiply these two on the top? No. So you just smoosh them together. All right, can you multiply those two on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you get? $1,902? Is that right? No, that's not right. 37,200. Bless you. 249. Is that what you got?
Got 193.
All right, and then you square root that. What happens when you square root this piece on the bottom? What do you get? Do it in your calculators. Come on.
Is it 37?
You get 193, which is just what we had to begin with without the square root.
Is it 37?
37, yes. 37,249. Okay, let's do number 2. What's the first thing you got to do on number 2? Draw what?
On that
Draw
one,
your triangle. What?
I just put in my calculator. I just did the square root of it.
Well, you're not going to have that calculator on the test, though. You have to know how to do it, though. You have to know how to do that. All right, so draw your triangle. Put your right angle. Which letters go where? What did it tell us in the directions? A and B are acute, so A and B are not the right angle. So what goes right here then? C. All right, so let's rewrite this for those that can't read it. It says the cosine of A is 1/2. That's what it gives us. So what is cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so what angle are we going off of? A, right, Tyler?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going off of A. That's where our theta goes. All right, so from A, it said my adjacent was how much? 1, and it goes right here. That's where adjacent is. Then it said my hypotenuse was how much? 2, which is across from the right angle. So there's a 2 right here. I don't know this one, so what do I put? X. So let's use Pythagorean theorem. I have x squared plus 1 squared equals 2 squared. So how much did you get? What's 1 squared? 1. What's 2 squared? 4. Subtract the 1.
3.
X squared equals 3. How do I get the square away from the x? Square root it. Very good. Is 3 a perfect square? No. So I just leave it square root of 3. All right. It wants us to find tangent of A. Wants us to find tangent of A. So from right here, from our theta, what's tangent? Opposite, which is x, which we found out was square root of 3 over 1. Very good.
Is that the end?
Almost. It would just be the square root of 3. Very good. I don't have to fix the square root on the top. I just have to fix the square root on the bottom. All right, we got one more to do. Okay, so what's the very first thing we should do? Draw a triangle. It's got to be a right triangle. Draw your right angle. All right, in the directions it told us that A and B are acute. So A and B are not the right angle, which means that C would be right there. All right, and it told us, let me write this down for you. It told us that sine of B was 3 over 8. So what angle am I going from?
B.
B, right, Tyler? Mm-hmm. All right, so what is sine? Perfect. So my opposite is right here. How much is that?
3.
3. And my hypotenuse is across from the right angle right here is 8. I gotta find this one, so I'm gonna put an X. So I have x squared plus 3 squared equals 8 squared. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 8 squared? Subtract 9 and you get how much? 55. Get rid of the square. 55 is not a perfect square. Is there a perfect square that divides into 55? Does 4 go into 55? Does 9 go into 55? Does 16 go into 55? No, so we're good. So we'll leave it as square root of 55. Alright, and it wants us to find tangent of B. So what is tangent?
Opposite over adjacent.
Perfect. Alright, so we're going from right here. What's my opposite? 3. Back to your theta. What's your adjacent? Square root of 55. And you cannot have a square root on the denominator. So what do you have to do? Perfect. You got to multiply by square root of 55. And if you do it to the top, you got to do it to the bottom. Right, Tyler? You all have it all in there? Because every time I look at you, you're asleep. Number 3? Okay. Alright, guys. So, can I multiply 3 and 55? No, so you just smush together. Can I multiply 55 and 55? Yes, if you're really, really good, you know that it just becomes what? 55. If you need to, you can multiply them and you get 55 squared is 3,025. And if you square root that, you just get 55. And every single time, it'll just be that number, 55. Are y'all okay? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to work on page, I think it was 6. Yeah, page 6. Page 6. We're going to work on that today. We're going to finish it up tomorrow, and then we're going to learn some new stuff after that. So page 6 looks like this one. All right, and we are doing 1 through 5. 1 through 5 is what we're doing. One through 5. 1 through 5, guys. Okay, got about 10 minutes left. 1 through 5 on page 6. Yes, sir.